are in the middle of the International Urban Parks Conference, which is called Greater and Greener, Reimagining Parks for 21st Century Cities. It's a gathering of urban leaders from across the US and around the world.
There are far too many US cities where you actually lack freedom. You talk about freedom in the US because that's a fundamental sort of right, but there is a lot of cities where I come to where I have felt less free because I was forced to drive.
This conference is unique in that we actually spend a lot of time outdoors because we believe that learning takes place when you're actually experiencing the park. The Trail of the Squares starts at Washington Square Park, and then it goes to Union Square Park, which has been restored in the last few years, to Madison Square Park, which has also come to life in the last few years, to Bryant Park, which used to be a place that nobody wanted to go to, and now is a truly delightful place to be, and finally to Times Square.
Parks are getting momentum because they don't only serve one purpose. A park does not have a main purpose of being a health institution where people should exercise and walk more. It also has a very important social aspect to it, where you meet fellow citizens and you can spend time with others. You can feel less alone. You are not in your solitude in your middle box of a car.
Robert Moses wanted to build a major highway right through Washington Square Park, which now is in the heart of the NYU campus. At the time, there was a small road going right through Washington Arch into the park, and Robert Moses wanted to widen that, essentially extending Fifth Avenue right through the heart of the village. So Jane Jacobs just organized. She got together with her neighbors, started a petition, and started a movement to stop this project because the park was the park, you know? And she even went further and she said, you know what, there shouldn't be any traffic in the park. Traffic has its place, and certainly we need cars and trucks for commerce and for getting around the city, but we shouldn't cede our lives to the motor car. You know, we should reserve some of it for our quality of life, you know, for play space, for walking and for socializing. And so she started a movement, she started a campaign, and ultimately she got the park closed to cars. They celebrated saving what is now perhaps the most vibrant public space in all of America.
Union Square Park for many years was the center of urban life, and that went away for a while in the 60s and 70s and 80s, and it's returned in the last few years. It's a grand plaza. It's really the nexus of many things that happen here. It has tremendous transit use. There are tens of thousands of people who traverse this park during a busy weekday. And in the recent renovation, we kicked out the cars, we expanded the plaza. You see people strolling along. We have artists who sell their wares here every day. That's my favorite part of the park in some ways.
Madison Square Park is designed to be very much a strolling park. The way it's laid out is we have our center lawn called the Oval Lawn in the middle, and then we have all these kind of curved pathways that feed past it and across it. Madison Square Park, its true heyday before now was in the late 19th century. It was really kind of the social epicenter of New York, the neighborhood of Teddy Roosevelt and Edith Wharton.
Bryant Park is absolutely magnificent, and as a home to so many different kinds of cultural activities, small and large throughout the year. So it's a beautifully programmed park. It's a Four Seasons park, which is so brilliant. It's shade in a very congested part of the city. It has food and water. It's beautiful. It's got a library. You know, it's really kind of got it all.
Well, the problem used to be that you couldn't get through Times Square without getting mugged or killed. And then the problem was that you couldn't get through it. It literally would take 20 minutes to walk 2 blocks in Times Square. So we doubled the amount of usable pedestrian space. So we took up a lane of Broadway and a lane of 7th Avenue, but also we built these red glass steps that mimic a Greek amphitheater. They're lit at night by gently glowing LEDs, just like the lights of Times Square. We say that the steps in Times Square allow people to watch the second best show on Broadway, which is urban life itself, the life of the city before us.
There's lights and people.
Wonderful energy.
Plays, the shows.
Shopping. You can walk anywhere and get anything you want and just take in the sights because there's so much to see and so much to do, so it's a lot of fun.
Times Square was this really congested mess of a place where you couldn't even hear yourself think, and it's still like that in some ways, but it's so much more enjoyable now, and you can just experience New York. And now even New Yorkers go to Times Square, right, which never used to happen.
Public space is where the life of the city comes together. People often just think of a green park, but it's much more than that. It's the streets and the plazas and the sidewalks. Those are places where there's an energy, there's the diversity of different people coming together and then create something new out of that.
When you come to Times Square, you meet people all around the world. And only through walking, you could actually have such great interaction between people of different nations, different race, which is the important thing.
We know that when people in the parks world come together, they are energetic because of the nature of the work that they do, but they do, in fact, amplify the great work that's happening in cities across the country.
Our public spaces and our parks, the streets and sidewalks, that is where the life of the city as we know it is made manifest, and that's why you've got to pay attention to it and have new aspirations for it. Again, it's not just enough that it's safe, which is still a challenge in many cities, but it's got to be a place that can accommodate all the variety and the thrilling unexpectedness of urban life.